What is up, sports geeks, and welcome back to the final NFL mock draft before the official NFL draft. We are 48 hours away from round one, and that's what we have today is a one-round NFL mock draft joined by Alec. As always, Alec, we're finally here. We are, 48 hours away. This is draft night just has a feeling to it, a vibe, an aura, if you will, that you really can't define. When you hear the music, I can't put words to it, but we're 48 hours away. We got a final mock draft here. So we're going to be doing this through PFF. I'll go ahead and get my screen shared here and we'll go ahead and hop into it. This does have trades. Keep in mind, this will have trades.
Yep.
When doing trades, keep this in mind. Final thing, and then we'll hop into this. We're not going to try to guess what they're going to give up, right? If, say, whoever's moving from, 28 or somebody's moving from the second round into the first round, we're not going to try to say, oh, they're going to have to give up a third rounder this year and a third rounder. No, we're just going to force the trade for purposes of saying we think they're going to pick here. So having said that, we will go ahead and hop into this. Mr. Alec, for some reason, you just got kicked out. You're right back in. But here we go. You ready to go?
Is my camera turning back on? Am
Yes.
I back on? Okay,
Yeah, you're back on. You're good.
Awesome. Let's do it. Yeah. So, you going first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pick first. So we have seen a lot of movement, I think, like earlier in the coming months. But I think this is pretty much cemented now. We are going to talk a lot about a lot of picks here. So this is one that I don't think needs spoke about. We don't need to speak about this one too much. Cam Ward going number 1 to the Titans.
Yep. That's a lock. Vegas says it's a lock, so I believe it's a lock.
Yes.
Okay, so number 2, close to a lock. It's going to be interesting to see what they actually do with the rhetoric of Andrew Berry. You'd think that they'd go Travis Hunter here, so I'm going to go Travis Hunter here.
Okay, I love that. I mean, I think the interesting thing for me is I saw today Schefter came out and said that the Browns and Giants are taking calls for picks 2 and 3, which means in my mind this draft starts at 2, right? Which is pretty common, right? The drafts will start at 2. Like 2 years ago, you didn't know whether it was going to be CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, so that started at 1. But like starting at 2, we have no clue what's going to happen. Like absolutely zero clue. Ashton Genty is a top 5 player in this class. Yeah, he was being mocked at 12 to the Cowboys for a very long time. He's not going to make it there anymore. How high does he go? Like, there are so many moving parts. Shedeur Sanders, right? How high is he going to go? Does somebody like Jackson Dart more than Shedeur Sanders? Like, Vegas thinks that Jackson Dart has a legitimate chance of going above Sanders. So there's so many things moving. But yeah, second pick is where this starts. I'm going to go Abdul Carter here at 3. You and I both had him as our number 1 overall prospect in this class. He is an elite pass rusher. I think for Joe Shane and Brian Daboll to get Abdul Carter at 3 is like could be a life or a job saving like pick to get Abdul Carter to fall to you at 3. I mean, obviously you can I can justify Abdul Carter maybe over Travis Hunter, but like if Cam Ward's going 1, you're getting 1 and 2 at 3. It's a great deal. Having said that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you at 4.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Will Campbell here. I think a lot of signs, a lot of the mock drafts, a lot of the people in the know that I actually listen to on the day-to-day basis, they say Will Campbell has a really good chance of being the 4th pick. It really just makes sense. They need a tackle. They need to protect Drake May. It's kind of a little bit high to take one of the edge rushers here, in my opinion. I could see Mason Graham, but I do think they try to protect Drake May with Will Campbell here.
Yeah, no, I like that pick a lot. I mean, I think given the way we had talked, maybe it's T-Mac right earlier in the year. I think T-Mac's draft stock has fallen a lot since January. And I think that where you're at here, you need to protect your rookie quarterback. You've done some things. You're going out to getting Stephon Diggs, right? I think you've done some things. Genty could be in play, maybe, but I like the Will Campbell pick. And on the clock here at 5 is not the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is the New Orleans Saints. First trade of the year, Alec, I believe, because we have not done trades yet. The first trade is going to be with where are they at? The New Orleans Saints and Jacksonville Jaguars. We're just going to force this trade through. And the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. and they're going to the quarterback position. It's going to be Shedeur Sanders. This is a pick that, do I think Shedeur Sanders is a top 5 player in this class? Absolutely not. But I think that the Saints are in such a need. There's such an awkward situation where they're not necessarily bad enough that they're going to get, that I feel good about them getting a top 5 pick next year, right? It's likely, but I'm not going to say it's cemented.
Yeah.
And you have Derek Carr on your roster who wins you just enough games, but not enough, right? He wins you just enough games, not get a good pick, not enough to make the playoffs. And he's battling a shoulder injury, might need surgery, might even be out for the entire year this year.
Yeah.
So if you're the Saints, you're sitting there at 9 thinking, how can we get somebody to spark this rebuild now? And I think for them, if you feel strongly about Shedeur Sanders, which I have a feeling that the Saints front office does, as well as several other teams, you're willing to take a shot here and trade up to go get them at 5. And I think that it's not for Jacksonville, you're not going to have to overpay because Jacksonville's at 5. They need everything. They need, if you're going to give them an extra 3rd round pick, whoever they're going to get in that 3rd round pick is going to be extremely valuable because they have so many needs on the defensive side of the ball. So I think for Jacksonville, you can move back to 9. It's not like you're jumping a team that was trying to take Shedeur Sanders anyways, like trading up to maybe 6, right? So I think that it's possible, and I wouldn't be surprised if Shedeur Sanders ends up in a Saints uni, and I'm going to have him trading up to get him here.
Yeah, I love that trade back for the Jags. They just have so many needs. They have a new regime coming in. Could definitely see them still getting their guy. Like I've seen mocks have them taking T-Mac at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really think that they could get him at 9. So,
Yeah.
if they could even trade back, if that's who they're interested in, could definitely see that happening. But it definitely takes 2 to tango with a trade. So if
Mm-hmm.
nobody's willing to trade up, then we'll see if that happens. But
Yeah.
like it for this. So number 6, I'm gonna go the Raiders. For the Raiders here, I'm gonna go Genty. When there's smoke, there's fire. Usually, the press conference with Spy Tech, their new GM, and Pete Carroll. It was kind of funny when Pete was like, "Shh, don't. I mean, don't give specific names." But I really think that Genty could make their offense really good. With Brock Bowers, with Jacoby Myers coming back, maybe they can add a guy in the 2nd round to kind of complement Jacoby Myers. Could definitely see that with Geno Smith. I could see them being, not, I mean, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, but with Genty, their offense could be just really improved from
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, the great point. If you add somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round, which this wide receiver class is really solid when it comes to just overall depth of it, right? You can find somebody it's not like last year where we have the Marvs, the Malik Neighbors at the top of this year, but you have guys in the 2nd, 3rd round that you're going to be able to find, maybe like a Jack Besh, right? Who can be good NFL receivers and provide quality, snaps for you this year. So no,
Yeah, like a
completely
Jaden
agree.
Higgins. Yeah, like a Jaden. Like if they started with Genty and Jaden Higgins, like
Yeah.
that offense would be, I'd say 20-30% better than it was last year.
Yes. No, I would completely agree. And then you're not even mentioning the fact that you have better quarterback play and
AOC.
and
They still got AOC. They still got AOC on their roster. Don't worry, just in
hey,
case something happens to Gino.
yeah, when you need to throw several pick sixes on a Thursday night football. I lost a fantasy playoff game because I was playing against the Chargers defense, by the way.
I lost I think I said this on one of our podcasts in the fall, but I lost a fantasy, so I would have won the championship, but Daniel Carlson's extra point got blocked, and in that league, an extra point miss is -1, so that's how I lost. So I hate the Raiders forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, who you got at 7?
Yeah, no, you hate him forever, but you're hooking him up with Genty here at 6. That's not a
Yep.
bad deal. At 7 here with the Jets, this is a little bit uh uh just interesting. I don't necessarily love the spot here for the Jets. I don't think there's anybody that screams to me yes. I think Mason Graham is the best player available to me pretty clearly, but I don't think that it's necessarily a need for them, right? You have Quinnen Williams, who's an absolute stud at the defensive tackle position. And I think that there's more needs there. I think the offensive tackle position is the biggest need. So I'm going Armand Membu. I think he's a guy that he's only about 6'3", right? So he's not this absolutely enormous size wise, right? Height wise, but he's got the arm length and he's got the tape. I think he's plenty capable of playing tackle in the NFL. Could he play guard? Yes, I'm sure he could. But he is. I'm looking at these other offensive tackles, right? Will Campbell, sure, he's 6'5", right? He's taller, but his arms are like 3 inches shorter.
Yeah.
And so to me, I don't care how tall you are. If you're shorter, in all honesty, it almost means that my quarterback can see over you better. And if your arms are long enough, you're fine. So I think Armand Membu is a guy that's a great. He's going to be a great offensive tackle in the league, or a very good one at least. And the Jets need one really badly.
Yeah, and I love pairing him up with Olufushanu last year.
Yep.
He can play left. Membu can play right, and really, like these days, left tackle it's still important, but right tackles are getting paid too. Like you guys over at, like in Detroit, like Penei Sewell plays right tackle, and you guys paid him a bag.
Oh
So it doesn't really matter because DNs just move around now. Like if they're like, there's no reason to line up on the left tackle if he's a Hall of Famer when the right tackle's bad. So like you
Right.
need two good tackles now. So I love this pick.
Yeah.
So eight. I wanted to disclose this before. We'll see Jalen Walker go here in a little bit. I think so. I think we'll probably see him go
Oh
pretty
yeah.
quick. But I picked Mason Graham here, and I'm going to pick Mason Graham. And the reason is because Mason Graham is probably a top 4 prospect in this draft. Reason that I could see him falling a little bit further than this in real life, just the edge rusher and like the mystique of them. Like when an edge rusher hits, you're getting a Micah Parsons. You're getting a TJ Watt. When a Mason Graham hits, you don't really see it as much, even though they do impact your team as much. Like a Vita
Right.
Vea or somebody
Mhm.
like that, somebody that's elite. I
Or even
just
like
think
Quentin
Mason,
Williams. Like Quentin
yeah,
Williams is
Quentin Williams.
elite, but like how much hype does Quentin Williams get compared to like I mean, I could name 8 to 10 edge rushers that get more hype than Quentin Williams,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. But I'd say teams would rather have Quentin Williams on their team.
Yeah.
So it's not a sexy pick, but Mason Graham is for sure I think a top 5 prospect in this draft.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just to show our hand a little bit, we did do this mock draft before as far as penciling in the picks and making with trades makes it a little bit less on the fly, more actually thought out. When I traded back with Jacksonville from 5 to 9, if I didn't do that, I was picking Mason Graham.
Yeah.
And so it was you at 8, and I was praying that Mason Graham was going to be there at 9. I have no tie to Jacksonville at all, but I was just thinking, oh my gosh, this would be elite. If you trade back to 9, you probably get. I mean, I don't know necessarily what you get. Maybe it's a third rounder. Maybe. I don't know how much they would value it. Right, depends on how firm they want to stand, how desperate New Orleans wants to come off. But to get Mason Graham at 9 would be crazy. Obviously, he's not there. But I'm going to go with this teammate here at 9. I'm going to go Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson is somebody that to me is so talented and is going to be a stud in the league. I don't care if he only runs a 4.5, which he didn't run his 40, right? We have no idea what he runs. I don't care what his top speed is. I could care less. I couldn't care less. I watched him score more touchdowns as a defensive back than giving up touchdowns in his career at Michigan. And that alone, well, it should be a top 10 pick. I mean, when you're playing elite talent and you're scoring more touchdowns than you're giving up, and your name's not Travis Hunter and you're playing on the other side of the ball as well, like that's absurd. The coverage skills are immaculate. The footwork is immaculate. Everything is perfect except maybe his top speed isn't quite as fast as what you'd like. Okay, he plays a little bit back off when he doesn't maybe press coverage Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Right? There are very few receivers that are really going to exploit that if it's even that bad. And he's played against fast guys in the past, right? He played against
Yep.
Zach
Yeah.
Branch against USC. He took them for a pick 6, right, against Miller Moss and pretty much won him that game. So I think Will Johnson, I look at him, maybe there's some concerns with the top end speed. I don't care. He's still a top 10 pick for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he's been picked apart in this process. Now to be fair, I mean he didn't run, so I could definitely see why.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody's confident on the tape, his tape is unbelievable. So
Oh yeah.
I could see somebody taking a chance for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, especially in the top 10.
Yeah, and especially with the Jaguars who need secondary help. They need defensive help so much, right? So
Yeah,
I mean, you trade back to 9, you're probably just taking the best defensive player available. In my opinion, that's Will Johnson here.
yep. So 10, I'm gonna go Tyler Warren here.
Mm.
I just think having him and Cole Kmet, Rome Odunze, I just think, with the weapons that the Bears could have with Ben Johnson, most likely probably going running back at one of their picks, 39 or 41. I just really think it could be a great fit for Tyler Warren to go in. They wouldn't have the pressure of giving Cole Kmet like a super big bag. I really like that, having to be able to play 12 personnel with Tyler Warren, who's definitely a top 10 talent in this draft. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yes, yeah, I would agree, and I think that what the Bears have done this offseason is they've gotten enough pieces that there's not a you're not drafting a need here, you're probably drafting BPA, right? And if you're just taking the best player available, Tyler Warren is probably, the way the board's fallen, pretty clearly the best player available, right? Like, I mean, obviously, if the best player available is a quarterback, you're not taking a quarterback. But like, I love the pick for the Bears. I hate it as a Lions fan because I think Tyler Warren and Caleb Williams and Roma Odunze, you have those three guys for at least another 4 years. All of those guys, I don't like that at all. And probably
Yeah.
somebody like Travion Henderson or Caleb Johnson. I hope to God not Amari Hampton, that he doesn't fall that long.
Yeah.
But like, probably another good running back too. That's going to
Yeah.
be good. So yeah, I think it's a great pick for the Bears. I don't like it as a Lions fan, but going to me here at 11, I think the 49ers are in this weird spot, right? You don't pick this high very often if you're the 49ers. And I would assume their front office is hoping to not be picking this high in the future. And I think that the best way to get back to that is cementing your defensive line. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Walter Nolan. Walter
Yep.
Nolan, if you talked about earlier with Will Johnson, loving the tape. If you love the tape, Walter Nolan could be a top 10 pick in this draft. If you love the tape, Walter Nolan's best of the best is top 5 in the draft, I would say,
Yep.
because he can quite literally take over a game at the defensive tackle position. There are maybe a handful of guys in the league that can do that, right? Like, to say that you can do that, and he truly can, and he does it against good players. Like watching him at the Senior Bowl when Gray Zabel's elite against everybody. Walter Nolan's got great reps against, right? Like Walter Nolan is so good. I love him as a player. I think as a person, as a leader in the locker room, he's good. There's obviously a little bit of growth there, but for the 49ers, you're getting a guy like Walter Nolan at 11. For just the 49ers team in general, to get a player that's as talented as Walter Nolan, I'm going to take that. Also, when you have a defensive line history like they've had, right? When you have guys like Javon Hargrave, obviously Bosa, right? That are so good with the 49ers defensive line, Walter Nolan's going to be good. If
Yep.
he's in a 49ers jersey, definitely going to be good.
Yep, for sure, because they have that infrastructure around them to actually
Right.
hold him accountable. And
Correct.
I think I think that's important for Walter Nolan. Like if he goes to Miami, they already had issues last year, people being late. That would be detrimental to his career. Like if he went
Mhm.
to Miami, but if he would go to San Fran, I would even say like if he went to like a more like vet laden team, like it would be great for him. But for him, I'd be hoping and praying, even though he got paid a little less money, to go to the Steelers. But just for his career's sake. But
Yeah.
so for the 12th pick, I'm gonna go T Mac here. And I really think that T Mac could kind of complement CD very well. CD, they were having him play a lot of slot last year, kind of just get the free releases. For him, I think T Mac could be a perfect complement to CD. And I was looking today when we were and yesterday when we were doing this, kind of beforehand, and you can't go into the season with Jonathan Mingo and Jalen Tolbert as wide receiver 2 and 3.
Correct.
So I think they have to draft somebody.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Maybe
they
not the
have.
first, but I mean they have to draft somebody.
Correct. And the likelihood, especially being the Cowboys, of hitting on somebody outside of the first round at the wide receiver position is extremely low. So I think if T Mac's there at 12, I would agree. Unless Genty is as well, I think
Yeah.
there's a very, very high chance that T Mac ends up as a Cowboy. So you mentioned earlier Jalen Walker and how he's going to be off the board here soon. He is going to be off the board, but not to the Dolphins. I'm going to have a trade up here. So this is my second, I believe, my final trade here of the day. Maybe I'll have one more. Who knows? Tampa Bay Bucks are going to trade up. So I'm just going to force this trade through. Who knows what they have to give up? I really don't care. They're going to take Jalen Walker. And I think that the Bucks are in a position where they need pass rush and they need linebacker help. Jalen Walker is the perfect prospect for them because whatever you need him to do, he can do it. He can play on ball, he can play off ball, and I think he's really, really good at both. Right, he is a Frankie Louvu type of player, somebody that can play off ball and on ball. Whatever you need them to do, whatever your personnel around them, builds up like, right? If you build out a couple, you take a defensive end in the fourth round and he ends up really hitting. All right, yeah, you can move Jalen Walker off ball, right? Like I think that the ability that Jalen Walker has is he's so versatile and the talent's there. The talent is so there. He could be a sideline to sideline linebacker. He can also really get after a quarterback. I love Jalen Walker as a prospect, and I think that this is maybe one of the best team fits for the
I think
Bucks
so.
because they really need linebacker and defensive edge.
Yeah, no, I actually was thinking about that. As you were kind of saying that, this fit with Todd Bowles would be
Oh yeah.
great for him in his career, like for Jalen Walker. It would
Hmm.
be awesome. Gets to be in the room with Levante David for probably at least one more year.
Right.
I think Levante David's probably going to play till he's 50.
I was gonna say probably
So
15 more years.
so they might end their career together in Tampa, but um, yeah, no, that'd be a great pick for Tampa and a great pick for Jalen Walker. I think
Yeah.
him and his agent would be seeing money signs 4 years from now
Oh yeah.
with that extension. But 14, so Colts, I'm going to go Jade Barron here. I do think Jade Barron could go probably as high as 7 to the Jets just because they got Aaron Glenn, cornerback.
Hmm.
Jade Barron's versatile. I've actually seen that. I saw Todd McShay mock that earlier today. So if he's saying it, I believe it. But I think Jade Barron had this draft process has been fantastic for him. I mean,
Hmm.
we were mocking him probably in the 20s. Maybe some of the first ones we didn't even have him in the first round.
Yep.
Now he is skyrocketed up. I mean, RAS scores decent. He played well. I know they were playing a lot of zone and he had help over the top against Jeremiah Smith, but he did do pretty well on Jeremiah Smith in that playoff game. So there is a 5-year age difference, though. But still, I really do think that Jade Barron could be great for the Colts. He fits their RAS model of good athlete, so I could see it. I could see it happening.
Yes. Yeah, that's the number one thing for the Colts, right? How's your RAS score? Is
That's
he good
it.
at
That's
football?
all that
Is he good
matters.
at football? That's their order of questions. High RAS score. Okay. Is he okay at football at least?
Now,
Yeah.
to be fair, I could see the Colts. Shamar Stewart is
Yeah.
the
That's okay.
perfect Indianapolis Colt pick here. I know we
Yeah.
didn't mock him there, but he is perfect. Crazy RAS score, no production. They don't care.
That's like the spitting image of like, you know, you can't build it out any better. We're talking about a guy
Yeah,
that has not shown he's good at football, but
at all.
athletically he should be good at football. This
Absolutely.
is
He should literally have had 15 sacks a year with that
correct.
athleticism. And
Correct.
he had 4.5 and 3. So
Right.
it's just not adding up.
No. But speaking of a guy that did have some sacks, over at 15 here, I'm going to go Mike Green to the Falcons. The Falcons need, I believe they were last in the NFL in sacks last year. They need pass rush so badly, right? And this is a perfect get. Mike Green is an extremely productive pass rusher. He is dynamic. He had great reps. He dominated the Senior Bowl. I mean, dominated the Senior Bowl. And I think that's really, really big is when you have somebody who plays at a smaller school. Can you go play well at a Senior Bowl, right? Can you go actually showcase it when you get to play against this top end talent? Or like when you get to play against Ohio State earlier in the year too, and he has a sack. I believe
Yeah.
against, I believe Josh Simmons at the time.
I think it was Fryer.
Okay, maybe it was Fryer. Okay, but either way, he's shown it all year. He showed it in the Senior Bowl. He showed it in the season, obviously leading the nation in sacks. Mike Green's an elite pass rusher. This is getting towards his ceiling, but I think that whoever gets him 2 to 3 years from now, we're going to say, why was he picked 15th overall? He should have been top 10, right? There, he's going to wherever he's picked. You're going to look 5 years from now, and there's going to be a handful at least of names in front of him that you're going to say he is a significantly better player than these guys. So
Yeah,
I
kind of like Jared Verse vibes. I
Mhm.
could definitely
Yep.
see with him where like, he goes a little later and you're like, dude, I mean, Jared Verse is, I mean, looking back last year, Jared Verse should, I mean, he should have gone in the top 10. I mean,
Right.
easily. So, yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
We mock Jared versus top 10 a lot, by the way, just so not to build credibility, but to build a little bit of credibility. We did mock Jared versus top 10 or 12 a lot last year.
Well, this next pick might break us next year. We're not going to be mentioned on this pick, maybe. But I'm going to go Shamar Stewart here at 16. Shamar Stewart's either going to be a 10-year pro, or he's going to be really bad, and I'm not really sure which one it's going to be. But he is such an athletic freak that I feel like he has to go in the top 17. I just don't see how he would get past the Bengals if he was there at 17,
Yeah.
just because of his ceiling. His ceiling is immense.
Yeah. Well, at some point too, somebody's going to take a flyer on him, right? Somebody's going to have a defensive line coach that says, "Coach, give me a chance. I can make this guy great." Right? Whether he can or not, right? Who knows? But he's going to say, I mean, every defensive line coach, if you had them build their perfect defensive lineman, they probably build Shamar Stewart
Yeah,
athletically and
totally. Yeah.
physically. So every defensive line coach is going to say, "Oh, please give me a chance at him." Right? Can you actually make it work? Who knows? But I would agree with you that the upside is too high for him to fall out of the first round easily. And probably even into the mid 20s, because somebody's going to say, "Screw it, we're trading up and getting him," because you can't find somebody that's 6'6", 280 and runs what, like a 4.55, 4.6 40.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wasn't saying that Shamar Stewart's going to be bad. Like if I had to put a bet on it, like I would say he's probably going to be pretty good, just
Yeah.
because of the athleticism and he's still pretty raw too. So it's going to be awesome to see him go to if he could go to a really good D coordinator, D line coach, it would be really fun to see.
Yes, I think it would be really fun to see it. This would not happen, but to go to like the Rams,
That'd be
just to
really
see
fun.
and it wouldn't happen because it's not really a need, but like I would just kill to see like Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, and Shamar
Yeah.
Stewart,
You
like
never know. And Byron Young and Kobe
and
Turner,
Byron.
like that
Yeah.
D line would be that D line would be scary.
Well, and they're all like just stupid young too. Like you
I mean,
have,
they should have probably should have beat, but they were right there to beat the Eagles in the playoffs.
mhm. They gave the
So
Eagles a better game than the Chiefs did. That's for sure.
yeah,
But okay, so with your Bengals here at 17, I'm gonna stay defensive line. We've had what is this? The run on defensive linemen here. I mean, if you depends on if you call Walker one or not, but 3 of the last 4 picks, I'm gonna make it 4 of the last 5 here. And I'm gonna go Kenneth Grant. I think for me, I look at your Bengals, they can't stop the run. They struggle to stop the pass as well. They struggle to play defense. You just locked down T. Higgins, you just locked down Jamar Chase, you just locked down last year, you locked down Joe Burrow. You have your offense, no matter how bad your offensive line is going to be able to score points. That's never going to be a problem for the next, as long as you have that trio of guys and they're healthy. But you got to be able to stop teams. And you have to start by, you have to be able to stop teams on the run, right? At least make them throw the ball. And I think Kenneth Grant is a perfect DJ Reader replacement, right? He's somebody that did play a little bit in the shadow of Mason Graham, right? There's no denying that. He's probably not going to have a Mason Graham next to him here in Cincinnati, but he's plenty talented by himself, and I think showed that plenty this year as well. I think getting a guy that's as good against the run and also offers pass rush upside as well as Kenneth Grant is a perfect get here for the Bengals at 17.
yeah, I think so too. And I think for the Bengals, they do need some sort of D line. I think it's edge or interior.
Mhm.
So if Walter Nolan's gone, if Mike Green and Shamar Stewart are gone, I could definitely see Kenneth Grant. And I'd be great with that. So
Yeah, yeah. I was
um,
telling you yesterday as I was making this pick, I was like, I didn't love really anybody at this pick. Like, Shamar Stewart, Mike Green, and Walter Noah are 3 guys that, like you just said, I would love to pick for the Bengals here, but with the way the board's falling, it's like, I don't know. I'm not gonna force a
yeah,
James Pierce this high. It just the way it falls, I think it's gotta be Kenneth Grant for me.
yeah, and I think Michael Williams could have been another play here
Yeah.
too. I've seen that mock as well. It's just are the Bengals, who are probably in a win now mode, willing to wait 2 or 3 years for Michael Williams to hit? Um, I think this has been chalk for a while now. I think it has gotten to the Seahawks in a lot of mocks. People just take him. So I'm going to do the boring thing. I'm going to take Jahad Campbell here. Kind of like you were talking about with Jalen Walker. He can kind of do a little bit of both. He was a 5-star edge rusher coming out of high school. They kind of turned him into
Yep.
a Mike Backer at Bama. He is just a Swiss Army knife. Mike McDonald would love this guy. So I think it's just a great fit.
Yeah, no, I love Jahad Campbell. He's somebody that's seen his stock steadily rise. I think the first mock draft we did, he was not in the first round. And you'd be an idiot if you didn't have Jahad Campbell going in the first round now. So steadily rising throughout the draft process here. But I love that pick there, and completely agree. If he's there at 18, probably not making it past them. At 19, this is something we mocked earlier in the year, is the Dolphins going safety right now. I'm going to go safety here at 19, but it's not going to be Malachi Starks, the number one player on the board, according to PFF. It's going to be Nick Eamon-Warry. And I think this is a guy, I mean, this 67 is crazy, PFF. Please. That is insane.
That's
Um,
insane. That's insane. The most athletic, is it the most or second? It was Calvin technically more
Calvin,
athletic than him.
Calvin Johnson's the only guy to be more athletic than him.
And that's a pretty good name to be second behind. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'd say not bad for sure. But 67th ranked is crazy. But Nicky Morey is, I mean, as freakishly athletic as as athletic gets when it comes to safety. He scored a perfect 10 as a safety, as a as a safety, a cornerback, and a 9.99 as a wide receiver. Only reason it wasn't a 10-0 is because of Calvin Johnson. So it doesn't get better than that. I think he's got good instincts as well. He doesn't have Malachi Starks like instincts, but Malachi Starks certainly does not have Nick Eamon-Warry like athleticism. So
Yep.
you give and you get, and what you get in Nick Eamon-Warry's athleticism is just unreal. I think this is one where Miami needs safety help badly, and I think this is just a great get for them.
Yeah, no, I love this pick. I think it's a great fit. 20. So I think Colson Loveland's like probably a top 10 prospect in this draft, and I think a lot of NFL teams think that as well. I'm gonna go Colson Loveland here to the Broncos. I think this is just a great pick. I know they just signed Evan Ingram to a 2-year deal. But Evan Ingram's gonna turn 31, maybe 32 this year. So I just really think Colson Loveland is eventually gonna be a top 6, 7 tight end to the NFL, like from a receiving standpoint. So I mean, I could definitely see him becoming Sean Payton's. I don't want to say Jimmy Graham because Jimmy Graham's prime was elite, but
Yeah.
something 80% of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think if you're like gonna knock Colston Loveland, don't knock him on this year's tape, right? Or stats, because look at who he had throwing the ball, right? Davis Warren's the terrible quarterback. The quarterback play that they had, right? Alex Orgy's even worse when it comes to like providing receiving threats or receiving stats for somebody like Colston Loveland. So, I mean, look at what he did when he actually had a competent quarterback in JJ McCarthy. He was a spectacular tight end 2 years ago. So I love Colson Loveland as a prospect, and I think this fit with the Broncos is perfect. And also, your comment about Evan Ingram, completely agree. That's not going to hinder them from taking a tight end. Look at what Evan Ingram did 2 years ago to last year, even. Like the drop off was pretty
Yeah.
big from 2 years ago to last year. And it's not like you're dropping off from as a 24-year-old to a 25-year-old. You're like, oh, maybe you had an off year. No, that was 30 to 31. That's a difficult thing to overcome, right? So, no, I like that pick a lot. And I'm gonna this is gonna be a pick that's gonna piss some people off for sure. But I could care less. It's gonna be Jackson Dart. And I understand. I'm not a huge Jackson Dart fan. I think he's possibly like the second coming of Zach Wilson, right? He makes a couple extremely good plays. He makes a lot of bad plays. Not saying he's not. There's zero chance he's good as a player in the NFL if he's ever in the correct system. Obviously, George Pickens and DK Metcalf. I mean, and Pat Fryermuth's not a bad tight end. That's a pretty decent system to be in, right? Obviously, Arthur Smith as an OC is not ideal, I would say, but you have two very good receivers. But I think the quarterback situation that Pittsburgh's put themselves in is just hilarious to me. We have two quarterbacks last year in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Justin Fields, I believe, goes 4-0 for you as a starter. You bring back Russell Wilson. I'm not going to argue that that's the wrong decision. And then you let both of them go. So you go from we're gonna make sure we have a good quarterback this year and having Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Yeah, we just let both of them go after both of them played competent, right? I thought Justin Fields showed some very good signs last year. I would have kept him around, right? Whatever deal he got with the Jets, I don't remember it off the top of my head. I'd have given
2 for
that
40, I think.
Oh, I'd have given that and more. Like, so I just think that's funny that they put themselves in this position. They shot themselves in the foot, certainly, but they need to figure out quarterback bad because their team as a whole, their roster is good enough to compete, but you don't have a quarterback. So you need to figure it out. Do I think Jackson Dart's going to lead you to a Super Bowl? Absolutely not, but he's better than what you got.
Yeah, no, I like that pick. I like, I feel like it's feeling like they have to take a chance.
Mhm.
So whether this is Tyler Shuck, whether this is Milrow, whether this is Jackson Dart, whoever they like, I could definitely see them taking a shot here. Kind of like what
Yeah.
they did with Kenny Pickett,
Yep.
except the quarterback draft then was way worse.
Yes. Or even
Um,
trading up to for Shador, right? I mean,
yeah,
depending on how they feel about Shador, like and
their
how
GM,
far
yeah, their
and how far
GM
he's
came
gone.
out today. Yeah, their GM came out today and said it was actually a he thought it was a really good quarterback class. He might just be, hyping it up a little bit, but
Right.
I did find that interesting that he would actually say that publicly.
Correct. I would agree with that. That's
Yep.
interesting. But over to you with the Chargers.
There is not a more Jim Harbaugh person than Gray Zabel.
Yep.
So I was listening to a podcast, and apparently Gray Zabel, his motto is the three F's. It's farming, family, and football. That's Gray Zabel's motto, like his life, like what he lives his life by. So you can't get more Jim Harbaugh than farming, family, and football. You just can't.
That dude could have had every single Division One offer coming out of high school ever, and he still probably would have chose North Dakota State, I think.
Don't blame him. He's still going to go in the first. Don't blame him. Now the NIL might have been.
Yeah, NIL probably would have
I think
switched.
the NIL for North Dakota State, I think they give away acres of land
Yeah.
instead of like cash. I think they give them like a parcel of land.
Dude, and they when they offer it to somebody, those prospects go home, they're like, "That's a damn good deal right there."
That's a good deal. You're saving money on taxes. Heck yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a good deal.
I mean, we could plan a lot of stuff in here, right? I mean,
The return on that's a lot better. So,
oh yeah, yeah,
but yeah, Gray's able 22. He could play center. He can play guard. He can't play tackle. His arms are like 31 inches. Insane that he can be almost 6'6" and his arms are 31 inches. By the way,
I would agree with that.
insane. I mean, he's
Yeah,
got to have like a 6'3" wingspan at 6'6". I mean,
yeah.
that's nuts.
He's like Desmond Bain.
Literally, those memes on Twitter have been funny.
Oh
For the playoffs, but
no, I loved it. I love that pick for with Gray Zabel. Gray Zabel is going to be a great player. He can play three of your five positions on the offensive line. To find somebody like that is very rare. And with how beat up offensive lines groups always are, to have somebody that can play three of the five positions is so valuable.
yep.
I mean, probably the most valuable position in football to be versatile, I would say, is to be an offensive lineman that can play wherever because I mean, it's just so valuable. But I love the pick. I would agree. It doesn't get much more hardball than Gray Zabel, maybe Colston Loveland, just because of the Michigan. But if you're talking
Yeah.
about true play style of Jim Harbaugh, no, it's Gray Zabel. Love that there. I'm gonna go with at 23. I'm gonna stop the fall of him here. I'm gonna take Michael Williams, which I did not realize that PFF had him at 38. This guy was being mocked top 10. I mean,
He might go top 10. He might
yeah,
go top 10. Yeah.
like 2 months ago, he was going top 10, and now all of a sudden he's 38th on PFF. Now I'm not saying PFF is always right. Obviously, they had Eamon Warrior at 67, but like Michael Williams, I think, is going to be a very good NFL player at some point in his career. A very good NFL player. It's when, right? So it's got to be the correct situation of a team that is okay with him only playing select snaps for a couple of years and in developing and being willing to, on a rookie contract, get 2 years of production. However, having said that, you're going to want the fifth year option on Michael Williams because by year 5, he's going to be playing at a level that is extremely much higher than what you are paying him. So you're going to want the fifth year option on Michael Williams. I think he's going to be a first rounder for sure. I'm
For
praying he falls to Detroit at 28. I think that might be a little bit of wishful thinking, but I think that I'd hate seeing him going to the Packers here, but that is what I
Yeah,
picked here, just because I think it's a good fit here too.
I think realistically he probably doesn't fall below 17, but if he does, he'll probably fall until the Packers at 23. So I
Yeah,
definitely think like there's a scenario where he does for sure.
right.
Um, So 24, I'm going to go Derek Harmon here for the Vikings. I
Mhm.
just think it's a good fit. They just need solid picks. They only have 4 picks, so I could also see them trading down here. I
Yep.
wasn't going to do that this time. I had, we'll see in a little bit a team trade up for another QB in the first round. One that's not attending the draft. For a little uh, spoiler alert here. But yeah, I just think Derek Harmon could be a good fit for the Vikings if they do stick and pick there.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that pick. I also completely agree with you. The likelihood of them trading back just to get volume of picks, especially as the Vikings are in a little bit of a weird spot, right? Like you were very, very good this year, but you also had a lot of guys on 1 year deals, right? I mean, like, and so how are you going to financially move forward? Typically, you would like to keep some of them and draft some, but with only a couple picks, you can't draft that many. So I would agree. Moving back, it seems like a very likely possibility for the Vikings. Would not be surprised if they take every bit of their 10 minutes. That's maybe even actually 15 minutes because they're fielding calls. So over to me at 25. I'm going to take a guy. He's been at Texas for a while. Started his career at Houston, transferred over to the University of Texas, Hook'em Horns. It's going to be Matthew Golden. I think Matthew Golden, what he did at Houston, obviously coming over to Texas, being very productive there as well. I think this is a great get for the Texans because you get a receiver that, showed a lot of upside in his speed, right, in his 40 time running, I believe a 4.29, and is also, I think, very sure-handed receiver. His route running is, I think, the question mark with him, but he's a sure-handed receiver that also just showed you 4.29. He's not going to fall very far. We know that. I mean, we watched Xavier Worthy go as high as he did. And I think that Matthew Golden offers more than what Xavier Worthy does because he's
Yep.
not 175 pounds, right? He actually has I think better hands as well. So I think Matthew Golden, this is a great fit. Not even mentioning the fact that you have the Houston connection, obviously the Texas connection, but the need for wide receiver is so bad too. I don't think
Yeah.
Tank Bell's playing this year, and obviously Stephon Diggs is no longer there. Nico Collins is a great receiver. You need somebody else though.
Yeah, and so 26, I'm actually going to go with Texas teammate. I'm going to go Kelvin Banks.
Mhm.
I think the fall for Kelvin Banks has just gone too far. Rams, they need O-line help to protect Stafford. I think they're going to
Yep.
take a chance on probably a tackle. Could be Josh Simmons, could be Kelvin Banks. So I'm going to go Kelvin Banks here.
Yeah. No, I love that pick. Getting a little hook 'em horns back to back there.
Yeah.
Not bad. So over to the Ravens here at 27. I'm gonna go with a defensive back here. And I think when you look at the defensive backs that are available, Trey Amos is there, Benjamin Morrison coming off the hip injury, obviously, Maxwell Harrison, freakishly athletic. But I think Siobhan Ravel, in all honesty, is coming off the torn ACL. That's tough, right? That's tough for anybody. But I think that he has, in my opinion, the highest upside out of any of those corners because I can truly see a pathway in where he is a lockdown corner, an island corner. Whereas all the other corners that I just mentioned, I can see them being good, maybe even great corners, but I can't see them being like an all pro level coverage corner. And I think that Siobhan Ravel does have that ability.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing I would be fun if whoever has to read the name is not uh, Mr. Commissioner Goodell,
Yeah.
because I would love to see anybody else try to pronounce his name. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
But or like there's a couple good names like Princely Uman Mielen, Donovan
That's good. That's going to be a good one.
Ezraku. I mean, Uman Mielen's probably going to be a second rounder too, so it definitely could be. Ayo Manor is a good name. That's not easy. Jack Betch is for sure how that's going to be pronounced by somebody if it's not the commissioner. There's a couple fun names. Schwessinger.
Yeah.
A couple JT Tuyamalo. That's hard for, even if you know it's hard to say. Hard to read for sure. But no, I think Siobhan Ravel is going to be a good
Yeah.
corner. And I think a team like the Ravens can look past the injury and say, we're okay with you taking a couple months to get back to fully healthy, even if you're not yet. We're okay with that. We just want you to be fully healthy
Yeah.
for 4 of your 5 years on
Yeah.
your rookie contract. And that's what you're going to get out of Ravel.
Yeah. No, I love that pick. So then, Lions 28. I'm going to go Tyler Booker here. I think Tyler Booker could go a lot higher than this. I know the
Yeah,
RAS score was trash, just to be honest. I mean, just
very
being
bad.
honest, very bad. We were actually mocking him at the Dolphins pick 13, but in this one we had the Bucks trade up to 13. But I mean, in a couple of our middle mock drafts, we had him at 13.
Yeah.
And then he had that bad combine. The pro day stuff wasn't much better. So yeah, I do think that Tyler Booker, could be in the right scheme a fantastic guard. But you're just I don't know how to say it. You're kind of banking on and betting on him being an outlier at this point, just because of the RS score.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think that you're hoping that it's not true, um, right, and that it doesn't necessarily translate. The Colts have shown us that there are plenty of times in which RAS score does not translate because they take somebody that's got a great RAS score and they are not great. So I think that in this situation, I don't know as a Lions fan how thrilled I would be with this pick. Um, not that I don't like Booker. I just I'm not completely sold on him. There's a couple other
Yeah,
guys that I'd prefer. But I completely agree. I fully expect to see Booker could be a first round draft pick. And in all honesty, if he doesn't go to Lions, I was going to take him with the Commanders here.
yeah,
But I'm not taking him with the Commanders. Obviously, he's not there. I'm going to go Josh Simmons here for the Commanders. And I understand that like you got like they have Laramie Tunsil, right? And so you have, I believe Andrew Wiley's still there. Grew up best friends with my cousin, by the way. But like you have offensive tackles there. But offensive line is one of those positions where you just want five good offensive linemen. I know you're a believer of this too. I want the five best offensive linemen on my roster on the field. And
yeah.
Josh Simmons, coming back from a leg injury, obviously, once he's fully healthy, is going to be by far one of your five best offensive linemen. So I don't care if you have to slide him to guard. I don't care. I know Wiley's played guard in the past. I don't care if you slide Wiley. I don't care if you slide Laramie Tunsil to guard. I don't care who it is. Whoever you have playing guard, I don't care. You are going to want Josh Simmons blocking somebody else and preventing them from getting to your quarterback. And he's going to be great at that no matter where you put him at. I love Josh Simmons. I think the fact that he's fallen this far is simply because of injury. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up a top 20 pick because there are going to be teams that just don't care. We don't care if you miss the first 8 games. Look at what the Lions did with Jameson Williams. And if the Lions didn't do it, somebody else was going to. You knew he wasn't going to play for pretty much that entire first year. You traded up and got him. Right? Like somebody's going to take Josh Simmons probably even higher than this because they
Yep.
said
Okay.
we don't care. We are going to get a great offensive tackle, offensive lineman for 4 years on a rookie contract. I don't care what you do the first. So that's why I'm taking the Commanders. It's a long explanation for it, but still.
All right. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think he could go higher than this. And I think he probably does. Another Josh in this first round, Josh Connerly. We ended up not taking Josh Connerly. Definitely could see him getting in the first round too.
Yeah.
Like just all the tackles. It'll be interesting to see a lot of tackle needy teams at the end. So maybe there's a run on tackles.
Yes.
Um,
Wouldn't be surprised. Maybe even somebody like Ariante Ursary sneaks into the first round.
I really think that he could be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Tyler Shuck here from Louisville. Yeah, I really think
To the
that.
Bills here or
I'm sorry. Well, Browns are trading. I'm getting ahead of myself.
we have a trade.
I got Cleveland trading up. They probably won't have to trade up that much because they have pick 33, right?
Right, right.
So yeah, so I'm gonna go Louisville man over Milrow. He is he is actually older than me, which is pretty crazy to say. I graduated college what 2 years ago, and that was
Mhm.
after a fifth year. So that's pretty crazy. It's the seventh year of college football last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I could see it. Browns in the past. I know it doesn't really matter, but Browns did draft Brandon Weeden when he was 28 in the first round.
Hey,
So
nothing wrong with nothing wrong. It's an experienced quarterback, Alec.
some
But no,
people, some people's. I mean, I've seen this on Twitter. I mean, some people say he's the best quarterback in the draft, like from an
yeah.
armed talent standpoint, which is not really what I see when I watch him. But if these people are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to have that opinion, then I would trust that opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't get by the one viral clip from the combine where like it was just sloppier than can be, and then he misses
Yeah.
the receiver by like 5 yards on
Yeah.
like a
He skipped
10-yard
it.
slant. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like skips. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, dude. But
Yeah.
whatever, maybe his hand slipped. Whatever. There's plenty of things that could happen. But I actually like the trade up because this is. I mean, anytime you have a quarterback, the fifth year option is what you want. So if you're going to take a quarterback at 33, give up the whatever you have to give up, a fourth rounder, maybe not
Maybe.
even that,
Maybe.
and move up 3 picks to get the fifth year option on him. Because if he hits, you're gonna give yourself another year of a championship window. Saying that for the Browns is maybe not championship window, maybe it's playoff window. But either way, over to me at 31. I went with Josh Simmons, Ohio State offensive lineman, last pick. I'm going to go Ohio State offensive lineman again. And it is going to be, um, didn't see where he was at there. Oh, yeah, they have him as a tackle. Donovan Jackson. So Donovan Jackson, I think, fits. He's such a perfect fit. I talked about Jalen Walker for the Bucs earlier because they needed linebacker help and edge help. I think Donovan Jackson is such a perfect fit for the Chiefs because they need offensive line help in general. They need tackle and guard help. Donovan Jackson played both this year for the national championship team, the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. So Donovan Jackson is plenty capable of playing both guard and tackle. I know we talked about Josh Simmons. His injury is what pushed Donovan Jackson out to tackle. And Donovan Jackson is extremely, extremely good at both. And I could see him playing either. I think he's probably a better guard than a tackle. Like I think Ohio State had it right at him starting at guard, but he can play tackle if you need him to, right? I mean, he's almost like a Joe Tooney replacement, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not saying he's going to be Joe Tooney, right? I mean, those are huge, huge shoes to fill. But I like Donovan Jackson a lot, and I just think that as far as fit wise, the Chiefs are probably the best fit for him in the draft.
Yeah, no, I love that pick, and I think he could be an all pro guard for sure,
Mhm. Yeah,
or at least Pro Bowler. So, 32. I'm going to make this easy. Georgia connection. I'm going to go Malachi Starks here. A lot of mocks have James Pierce. Just don't know if they would like his character issues.
yeah.
And so I'm just going to go Malachi Starks here.
Yeah, no, I love that. Anytime a Georgia player is getting drafted, Georgia defensive player getting drafted to the Eagles, I believe you. I don't
Yep.
need your name. I don't need your how much money you're making to have this opinion. I don't care if it's a Georgia defensive player going to the Eagles. You probably know ball.
Yep.
Or at least know history. That at least that. But no, there it is. The final first round mock draft of 2025. Almost a little bit sad, Alec. We did not put too many out there, but this one I do really, really like. I think it's a high chance that a lot of these guys are within a couple picks of where we have them at here.
Yeah.
But I also think that by pick 2, chaos is probably going to be unleashed.
I think,
Um,
yeah, the crazy part about this draft is you think probably from like pick 10, 11 to 45, anything's on the table.
oh yeah,
Like there's no Hampton in this one. We
nope.
only have one running back going. We could have three. I mean, Henderson could sneak in here. You never
Yep.
know.
Yeah, you could have 4. Caleb Johnson could sneak. I mean, like
Yep.
as crazy as it
Quinshawn. I mean,
sounds.
say the Chiefs love Quinshawn Judkins.
Yeah,
Like you never know. You never know.
right. I mean,
Oh,
it is crazy. I mean, there are several teams in here that could really use running backs, right? Like, I mean, Broncos could take one. The who knows? Maybe if Genti goes at 6, maybe at 12, the Cowboys say we're going to take Hampton, right? I mean, like, it sounds crazy right now, but like saying Jameer Gibbs going at 12, 2 years ago sounds you're an idiot for thinking that. It happened. Like I think the chaos is going to be crazy for this year. This will be the first draft in a couple of years, Alec. I will not be betting
I
on it with
know.
you and
Yeah, I know.
your buddies. But we'll get back to that here soon. Don't worry. But it'll be. I'm going to be at the apartment watching it by myself. Definitely going to be texting you probably every single pick, but
Well, we
still.
got to. Yeah, you got to have your. I'll bring money. I'll bring money
Yeah,
for you to the draft, and then we'll do it that way.
there you go. Yeah,
You just
and
text me. You'll be like a little bit ahead, and then you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to take this person,"
yeah,
and then
yeah. They're
and then
like
I'm like,
Josh.
"Damn!" I'm like, "Damn, he's gotten 18 picks in a row. That's
Yeah,
crazy."
I'm just locked in. I was really deep into mock drafts this year, Alec.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
you have
But
sources. You got
yeah,
sources in the league. It's like remember when Woj would like ruin the NBA draft for everyone. Like he'd be like, "Oh yeah, they're going blank
Oh,
here." Like
yes,
10 minutes
yes.
before the pick, and you're like, "Dude, I don't even need to watch the draft."
Yeah, shut up, please. Like,
Yeah.
it's like JPA football. I don't know if you guys follow Twitter, but like I I mean, anytime we watch it, like at your place, like or at your buddy's place, like we always like no phones. Like you can't really like be on Twitter because Twitter always, especially JPA football, they will have every pick 4 to 10 minutes before the pick is announced. They will tell you who it is, like at 100%
I don't
accuracy.
like doing
Yeah,
That's not me. I'm watching the spectacle. It's about,
right.
like, hearing the name. Like, the Michael
Yeah.
Penix one, I'll never forget that because
Yes.
we never thought that was gonna happen.
Right. It was literally like 12 people in the room, jaws just 12 jaws hit the floor. Like,
Well, in 2 years ago, Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs, we were like, "What in the
yeah.
world?" And then you guys made an NFC championship, so, and we're up by multiple scores in the second half,
Oh,
but
thanks for reminding me. I almost forgot about that one. But all right.
yeah.
Having said that, though, this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. The final mock draft of the year. We'll be back with plenty more fantasy football content, especially as soon as this draft's done, once we know some fits. But this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.